according to the guy at Castorama, this is supposed to be great stuff. According to me, it's a little bit of pain in the A.
My high school teacher found us a place to work at her parents, so we're now going to check it out and
hopefully it's good. You're supposed to have a garage and some tools that we can use, so we're gonna go have a quick look and see what we can get out of it.
maybe disassemble the back today.
We are following Amanda's school teacher and getting to the place where we're supposed to have a garage and a place to work. How is it?
As you see, I'm only hired here to do the dirty job.
The whole inside is stripped out, so we have no wall anymore behind the seat, and no side wall, no floor. And as you can see, everything is very clean. There's no rust or anything sort of. It's very good condition, so that will help us to save some time a little bit so we can start building the inside.
Second day of camper renovation. Today it's time for our favorite part.
Cleaning.
Clean up.
Going to the store because things are pretty cheap here. I don't want to compare with the internet, see the price difference, and it's not easy. Didn't go as easy as I was thinking, even with my list and the translated word. Nobody understands me, and then this guy don't want to let me go. So we'll go back home, and I guess next time come with Amanda.
We're heading now to Castorama, one of those Polish construction stores, as Sam's previous self-shopping mission failed.
Didn't work that good, so we're heading back to a different store with Amanda, and then hopefully we can kind of have a better idea of what they carry here and what do we have to order online, because it's hard to find everything in store, especially for camper specific parts. And then tonight we can shop a little bit and order some stuff through internet. Left over after we finished the rush, so we didn't want to waste it. We decided to paint the rest of the floor. Just make sure when you do that to clean your floor properly so there's no particle, and give it a good wipe with the acetone so the paint has something to stick, and then start working.
it looks now, and we're ready to move forward with our floor game.
We finished the painting, and the next step is to install our subfloor. There's 1,000 million ways to do it. The way we decide to do it is we're gonna install those 18 millimeter by 44. We're in Europe, so it's in metric. And we're gonna install this between the ribs of the subfloor so we can install our insulation in between. The way we're gonna install those is we don't wanna drill into the metal floor of the structure for two reasons. For rust and maybe eventually water infiltration. So we decide just to glue them. And the gravity's on our side, so even with the glue, I mean, the floor is gonna sit on it and there's no danger that it's gonna move after that, and then we'll screw our floor to those ribs over here. And we're gonna insulate with this material. It's called Thermoreflex. It's supposed to be 10 times more for the amount you put than your regular wool insulation, and it doesn't absorb the moisture, so that's gonna keep the rust away, obviously.
Beautiful silver tape that's supposed to soundproof the noise from the wheels. As you can see, it's already done. It's been a little pain because as you can see, it's like a little puzzle, but it's all good. Good to go.
We found out there's lots of stuff that is just cheaper to order online with Allegro, which is a Polish website, and AliExpress. I think this is a world record. About 3 days from the time of order to shipping from AliExpress. Never seen before. So we'll see what we got. Our subfloor yesterday with that mammoth glue. We highly recommend it. We only wait about 24 hours and it's super solid. I try to pull on it and nothing's moving. So today we're gonna install our insulation between the ribs that we put yesterday, and then after that we're gonna go get some plywood and trace the floor to put that on. According to the guy at Castorama, this is supposed to be great stuff. According to me, it's a little bit of pain in the A to cut. Like, I don't know if I got the wrong knife or there's something I don't understand about this. But it's next to impossible to make a nice cut. It is frustrating. So it's supposed to be good insulation, but it's very painful to cut and make your pieces. Today we came to Beata's family. Her parents were kind enough to supply us with tools and a garage to work. So we're gonna cut our plywood. We remove the old floor and we lay down the plywood over there on the floor, and then we put the old floor on top of it. And then we're just gonna trace it like a little drawing. And after that, we're gonna cut it with a jigsaw to make a nice shape. This is where the magic happened. We're planning to make a cover here where eventually we're gonna make a hole, and that's gonna be storage for shoes. We cut our plywood, now it's all in place. and what we're gonna do is we're gonna screw it down to the furring strip that we put at the bottom, so it's not gonna screw to the metal structure, it's actually gonna screw to the wood that we glue to the metal structure of the van. And for that we use those little screws. We measure out the thickness of our plywood and the thickness of our furring strip, and it ends up that 25mm screw was perfect for us, so that's the one we're gonna use. Depending of the thickness you're gonna use for your plywood and your furring strip, it's gonna be different, so just take care of the proper measurements so you don't end up drilling in your van structure. We finished our floor, everything is screwed down and it's super solid. We put more screw that the standard in construction needed, and I mean we had them and we didn't want the floor to crack or anything, so we went almost every 8 to 10 inches or 20 to 25 centimeter. We finished our side entrance with the shoe storage, so we extend our floor a little bit, made a nice opening, and then that's where we're gonna put our shoes when we enter the camper, and we're pretty happy with the result. It looks super good. We're starting to work on the framing so we can have some material to screw our walls, so we cut those little pieces that we're gonna put in between the chassis of the van, and then after that we're gonna put the insulation in behind, and on top of this we're gonna be able to screw our wall. We also order our custom size bed with those corners here. We have the dimension now, so we can work on the framing for the inside over here too. So that's what we're gonna do today. The fun part with working in a van, no matter which model you have or which year you got, there's nothing straight, so there's a little bit of a challenge, I would say, when you want to put your framing in place. So what we did here, we did some custom piece with the angles, so when we're going to put them to the roof, we're going to maximize the space and be as straight as possible. That's going to help us in the future when we want to put our final wood. Working on the roof, and we have a special project for the bed. To maximize the space, we decide to use the window pocket that is actually in the van from factory, and we're going to install some very thin insulation, and from that we're going to gain about 2 inches on each side, so 5 centimeter, 5 centimeter. That's 10 total. It makes a big difference for me because we're going to sleep crosswise of the van. And we're also installing those small corner on the roof, and that's going to help us when we're going to do our final step, so we don't end up with a curve, we end up with 2 straight edges, so that's super easy after that when you're going to do your plank on your roof.
We had a little bit of hard time to pick what kind of insulation is gonna go in here to maximize the space. So we picked up something like that. It's super thin, and today I'll be cutting that out and putting it here and gluing it. And after that we're gonna put some material over it. Hopefully it's gonna look nice and it's gonna be isolated. To look more like a house now, so we brought the old pieces of aluminum, I believe, and we're going to trace them on the plywood and put them on the walls. And I'm going to be continuing with our favorite material, which is this boy. And I'm going to try to isolate the sides with it, and also the roof. Wish me luck, because we hate that guy. So I'm done with the isolation for the camper. We had to use 2 different materials depending on the surface. So here we want something that we could work with, because we're gonna we were going to put material over that. So we needed something stiff, and that's what we used for the side of the vans, just where the bed's going to be. And on the ceiling as well as the floor, we used that kind of material, which at the beginning was a pain and hard to cut, but after I was working with it to fill the whole van, it's actually quite easy. You just need a super sharp knife and go super hard and quick and fast. So the isolation is done, and that's it.
One of the hardest part, I think, to pre-plan for me is the electrical, for two reasons. The first one is I'm not an electrician by trade, so it takes me a little bit more time to figure out. The second one is sometimes you don't have all the part you need right in front of you, so you have to think a little bit to where to position your wire, what's the size, the capacity, and there's a few calculations for the size of your wiring too. We pass all the electrical wiring right now. We figure out where we want to put our light, where we want to put the fan, the water pump, fridge, all the electrical we need. And we mount the battery under the passenger seat, which is from factory from Mercedes. You can get them, so we decided to mount it at the same place. The reason why is we want to gain more storage space in the van, so we didn't want to use space inside the van because it's a shorter version. We want to maximize the space we use. So we mount the battery and all our electrical under the seat, and all the wiring are routed through the wall, and we use those plastic conduit to minimize the friction. If the cable rub against the steel, sometimes it can cause problem in the future. So we use those plastic protection against the cable everywhere that it needed. I highly recommend to mark all your wire. I use color code with the tape, and I write down what is the connection to it at one end and at the other end at my battery. So in the future, after that, once we're going to install our wall and we're doing the final step for the electrical, then it's easy to know which cable will go where.